Welcome back to TV25's Real Estate Masters. Today we're on location in Kansas City's Northland at Affinity Enterprise Group. I'm David Johnston. My co-host is Dr. Tamika Bryant, and we're joined with Vice President of Sales for REI Guard, Sean Wodel. Welcome back, Sean.
Thanks for having me.
So this is our last segment. So we usually kind of like to wrap things up a little bit with like a unique or interesting or funny real estate experience that you might have. I know Tamika's going to share one that she's had with you.
All right.
So I'm really curious on that because usually when she's involved, stuff is crazy.
I was actually on the back end.
Oh, you were on the back
Go
side?
ahead. Go for it.
You know,
Mine's is short.
I thought about this all throughout the break, and of course, I'm coming up with nothing. So what I can over 9 or 10 years, I've got a million of these things. But if I can take a second, I can just really stress really try to emphasize the fact that every investor needs to have liability coverage. A liability claim or a liability loss can really sink your company faster than any property loss. So, we'll have a lot of investors that maybe pick a property up for 5 or 10 grand. You know what? We'll self-insure the property. If it burns to the ground, I'm out 5 or 10 grand, no problem. If you have financial ownership in that property for 5 minutes and you're just flipping the property, purchase liability coverage for a month at a time, like what we do for $8 or $9 a month. Gives you $1 million of liability coverage, a $2 million aggregate limit for that month. Because what will happen is you've got this tail on a liability policy, meaning that somebody can come to you 2 years later and say, "Hey, I was on your property in 2016. I slipped and fell and I broke my leg, and now I want to sue you." So
2 years later.
2 years later, and at that time their attorney's going to look up anybody that had financial or ownership in that property.
They're
And they're going to
everybody.
sue everybody, right? So. Even if you got that interest in that property for a span of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, buy that for a month for $9 or $10. I've seen slip and falls. I've seen personal injuries. I've seen some very terrible things with wrongful deaths that have occurred at the property. And if you're not insured the right way or at all, they're going to throw the book at you, and it can really damage your business and your personal life altogether. So, I don't want to bring it down by telling you these crazy, really bad things I've seen, but I can't stress enough that liability coverage is just so important to every investor to make sure they have the right coverage and the good limits.
I guess one of the things that I've liked about your approach so far is it's not just been from like a sales perspective. It's like you're actually there to educate your customer
Right.
and to help them be successful with their business.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's pretty much the experience we had because a few years back, and my husband takes care of the rental stuff for, our family. And, of course, he had the coverage. And a person said they fell in the property. And he went around, and I didn't know this, but every time he would see them, he would take a picture of them. Because the lady was actually hanging out in the casinos. And he's like, I'm making, and I said, what are you doing? He's like, I'm making a case because she's not hurt or whatever. I'm like, why don't you call the insurance people? Because I don't know that any of that matters other than to call the insurance folks. And so our insurance agent at the time was Mike Wren.
I know him well.
Yes, you do. And so Mike talked Jeff into or off of his, this is not right. This is fraud that they're doing. And he actually consulted him. Jeff came into his office, actually was here, came into the office, talked to him. They just went back and forth over several things about, this is the best way to handle this. And it relieved a lot of stress even within our household and our marriage. Because I'm going, are you spending time just like stalking the people, getting pictures? You want to be right or we want to resolve this and move on, and handling all those things. We didn't have, a lot of knowledge on which attorneys to use and this and that. And so the education and then the support that we received was bar none.
Yeah, and Mike's exactly right, as he usually is, right?
Yeah.
Liability carriers, and part of what you pay for with your premium, they have defense teams, and they have full, access to attorneys that you're paying for. Let them do that work for you. The worst, another, just as bad as not having insurance at all, is trying to settle a liability claim on your own before you let your insurance carrier in on it.
Right.
It diminishes their ability to settle and defend you, and they can legally decline that claim if you do it. So at the first instance of even a potential problem occurring that you may think may spawn into something, notify them and let them know. Put them on notice. Turning it in as an on notice with nothing paid doesn't affect your premium at all or your ability to get coverage the following year. So you kind of have a duty to do that. So just make sure, hand it off and let them do their job.
Yeah. So for those folks who are watching and saying, "Oh, I can," no, let the professionals handle it.
Right.
And as you said, for $9, that's a couple of cups of coffee.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you're totally, protected in that manner as an investor should be.
Exactly right.
So appreciate all of that.
Well,
information.
I know how to get a hold of you because I did that
Yeah.
today.
Yep.
So maybe you'd like to tell everybody watching how they or maybe their clients, because we do have a lot of real estate agents that watch us, how they can guide their clients to you.
Sure. A couple easy ways is you can call 888-741-8454. Make sure I got that right. I got it right. So
I saw that written down.
I
there.
can't
I'm like,
ever. I've got a direct line. I've got 3 cell phones. It's crazy. So, or you can email me at Shawn SHAWN at reiguard.com. Either way will get you directly to either myself or one of my sales agents to be able to educate and get the right kind of coverage.
and what's your website?
reiguard.com.
Yeah, and it's got all kinds of good information on
All
there.
kinds of it. I'm all over it.
And
Yeah.
I've got a unique thing that I'm going to put out in our Facebook group. It's all about how agents can get connected and be affiliate members of REI Guard. And, you know, we got lots of stuff going on. So I'm going to put that in our Facebook group.
Great.
Okay.
Folks can connect with us there.
Could you speak a little bit more on that? Because I think we've got just a couple minutes left.
Oh,
on.
sure. So you can talk about your
Yeah,
affiliate program better than I can.
So we've got a couple of things actually. We've got an affiliate marketing program that we utilize that Tamika's a part of that takes influential individuals in our marketplace and allows them to refer individuals they work with to us, and we're able to pay them kind of as a thank you for the recommendation they give to us. In addition to one of the first things I was kind of I had to lead into and actually build was an agent program. So up until about 2.5 years ago, all we did was deal directly with other insureds. I now have about 60 agent partners across the country that have access to our program. So they would actually be able to deal with existing investors that maybe they specialize in another line of coverage. All we want to do is be that program that closes the door and doesn't allow another agent to come in and take all their lines of coverage, because the one we work with can't do commercial lines typically. So we become kind of that one trusted source for them, work with their investors to help them keep their business. And like I said, we've got about 60 agencies. We're very, very picky with who we work with. We want to make sure that what they're doing is right along the same lines we're doing, and that we have the same values. So we go through a full interview process. So you can bet that if they say they represent us, they've been vetted very, very strongly.
Great. That's awesome.
Well, very, very good. It's been a real informative afternoon for me. I've learned a lot from you, so I'm a little bit nervous. I can't wait to get home. I got some changes to do, girlfriend.
I'm sure, like,
I'm taking all these kind of mental notes here. Like, I screwed this up. This is wrong. So
That's usually what the replies that I get. Oh my
I'm like,
gosh.
oh no.
Just scared the heck out of me.
Right.
How soon can we talk?
I can't get home quick enough from here to get
Please
this
don't
stuff.
burn in the meantime. Right?
Exactly. Anyway, well, thank you, Shawn. We really, really appreciate you being here. It was informative for me, and I know it was for everybody else.
Great.
We want to thank you for joining us today. Again, you're watching TV25's Real Estate Masters. I'm David Johnston, my co-host, Dr. Tamika Bryant, and Shawn Wodel with REI Guard. Again, and then the website is
reiguard.com.
Very good. Thank you for joining us again on TV25's Real Estate Masters. Join us every Saturday and Monday at 5 and 9.